Okay, this is the ICT paper 2, and we're going to focus on the data manipulation, so the database section. It's the May-June 2019 paper. So already we've done the word section, and we'll come down to task 3 in the database. So it says you're going to prepare some reports. Make sure that all currency values display the same currency and are set to 2 decimal places. So anywhere that we use currency, make sure we format it and it's to 2 decimal places and we use the same currency symbol. So question 21. Using a suitable database package, import the file J219books, and it's a CSV file, a comma separated value file, and then use these field names and data types. And then we need to have booking reference as a primary key, then save the data. So this question, we need to save it to the evidence document with a screenshot showing the field names and data types used. Okay. So first thing, if we import this file, we need to open Access. There we go. And when that opens, let's make a blank database and create. Okay, the first step is to go to external data, and we're going to use a text file. So to open a CSV file, if we browse and just quickly go to, set it on the desktop, and here it is, and it was bucks. And I'm going to import the new table. Okay, so this CSV file, it's separated by commas, so we can click on next. And the first row is field names. Okay, next. And it wanted a primary key, which was the book reference, book ref. And before we press finish, I'm going to go to advanced. And I just need to make sure, let's see, that the decimal symbol we can put as a dot rather than a comma. And that's it, okay. And finish. Okay, so my new table's there. And I can see it's a list of lots of books. And there's different sections. And I'm just going to check that, okay. And then you can go to Home, View, go to Design View, and we can check which data types we need. So looking at the questions, let's see. So title is text, author is text, booking reference is number, class code, text, 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 rank is a number, volume is a number, right. RRP, I think that's recommended retail price. At the moment it's a number, but that needs to be currency. And in format, I'm going to make sure we'll choose Euro. And same for ASP, we'll do the same. So because I used Euro, we need to make sure we do that for the rest of the paper. Okay. It doesn't matter if we use pound or Euro, but I think because that option's there on my settings, it's the easiest one to get to. And date time, and it has to be like this. Date, date, month, month, month. So that's in the publishing date. And the format. And it needs to be, let's select that one. Does it give us an example? Format. Let's try the short date and then view, go back, save the table, yeah. And let's just double check the currency has worked. It's at 2 decimal places and the date shows like that. I wonder if we go to design view. There's the examples. So now it's a bit wider. Probably that one we need, because that's the same as the example in the question. So medium date. So let's just double check. Yep, so 5th of January 19, and that's the same as the example here. Okay, and then we need to take a screenshot of this page. So it's all there. So we can use the snipping tool. Select all of this page where it's got important information, and I'm going to paste that, and we need to put that into evidence 6. So in the evidence folder, evidence 6. Okay. Okay, next one. 22, we'll put the new next file in, genre, CSV file. Set the class code as a primary key and create a one-to-many relationship between the class code in the genre table to the books table. So evidence 7 will be a screenshot showing the relationship in between the two tables. So it's turning from a flat file database to a relational database. So in Access, we need to go back to external data, and we can add a text file. Browse, it's in the same folder, and genre. Okay, and next, and the top line is the header. Okay, and there's a primary key which was class code. Next, and let's just go back because we need to change this, the decimal symbol, to a dot, and finish. Okay, and we can open that new table which should appear. It took a little bit of a while to come. It's there. I'm not sure why it took so long. And genre, there's nothing we need to change there. So we can close that. And in database tools, we have relationships. And we want both of the tables. And it wanted the genre first. So we can pull this side first. And it wanted the, let's just double check the question, the class code in the genre table to the class code in the books table. So the genre class code to the books class code. And there's our evidence where it says one-to-many. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this little section, and we'll put that in the next piece of evidence in step 7. And if you want as well, so that shows it's one-to-many, and it might be a good idea, once that's created, just take a screenshot showing the relationship between the two in this view. So I'll take a screenshot just in case of both of those. Okay. Okay, question 23. Create a data entry form using fields from the books table. So only these ones. Includes a suitable form title, so we'll have to think of that title in a large underlined font. And make sure the layout is consistent with alignment and spacing, and all field names and data are fully visible. So in database, I'm going to close down the relationships and save them. I'm going to create a new form, and if I go to Form Wizard, and it wants from books, and let's just double check what it wants. It wants book reference, it wants class code, it wanted the title, imprint, publishing, pub date, binding, volume, and ASP. Okay, next, and that's where it says it wants it in columns. So it says that in the question here, a columnar data entry. Okay, and yeah, and we want to have a look at it. Okay, so it looks like this at the moment. You can see the title is there. That's the first thing we can change. We can go to Design View, and so it's the book table form. So we could give that as a title and a large underlined font. So book table form, I'll make that wider. We'll make it a bigger font to fill that space, and we can underline. Oops, there we go. And the next section is to make sure that all of these can be viewed and it's consistent. We could go to layout view to do that, and you can see all of the sections. Obviously these ones you need to rename them, and it says all field names and data are fully visible. Okay, so sometimes it might ask you to change these titles to make them that people understand. It doesn't really say that in the question now. It just says the field names and the data is fully visible. Layout is consistent alignment and spacing. Yeah, so I can see it's consistent. You can see each one. So I think that should be fine. So next question, 24. Use the form created in the step before to enter the following details as a new record. So first thing, it's a new record, so don't change this one. So later, well, when they're checking the mark scheme, they'll make sure that you haven't changed this one. So I'm going to come out of this view and go back to form view. I'll just save it, and don't change this record. We want to go to the bottom and add a new blank record, this one here. So we don't want to write over something that's already in there. And then you need to be really careful now. Make sure the new record is exactly the same. If you make a spelling mistake or any data entry errors, you might not get all of the marks. So even though you've made this form, you've entered in the information, if you make a spelling mistake or you don't put a capital, you could even lose some of those marks. I'm just making sure that it's in the same order as it wanted. It's not like a trick question yet. And then volume 2, 5262, ASP 5.29. So check your data form for errors. Make sure you can all read it, save the data, and the evidence is a screenshot showing the data in the form. So you need to take a screenshot now of this form. And it's the data. Make sure again there's no spelling mistakes or errors, or you won't get the full marks for this one. Take a screenshot, and that can go in evidence 8. Let's just check that's the right one. Evidence 8. Okay, next question, 25. It wants a tabular report, and it selects the record. So that means we need to make a query first before making the report, because we need to search the database and select this. The title includes the text night, volume is more than 6,000, imprint does not include proton. And then we also need a new field called sales value, which is calculated at runtime and displayed with the same formatting as we used earlier, and it multiplies the volume field by the ASP field. There's lots to this question. It also needs to show only the field title, imprint, pub date, binding, volume, ASP, and sales value in this order with data and labels displayed in full, and do not group the data. And then it wants to sort the data in ascending order of binding, descending order of volume, and then these settings I guess are all about the report. So we'll make the query first, which we can do, I guess these sections we can really look at for the query. So in our database, I'm going to close down this form, and we can create a query wizard. Okay, and I know we only have to query 3 sections, so we want the book table, but we need lots of fields in the report later. So I'm going to try and put these on both sides of the screen. The database is here. We can't if this is open, so we'll have to keep going backwards and forwards. So we need title, imprint, pub date. And pub date. And we also need the binding volume ASP, and sales value is the one that we're going to make. So we'll make this in the next query. Okay. So that we can click on next. We want detail. And what title? It would be a good idea, I think, for now to put question 25 as our title, just so we know if we need to come back to this, what question it was, and finish. Okay, so it's just got all of the table with these headings. On home, we can go to design view, and we can add those different things that it wanted. So first thing, title includes the text night. So I'll show you what not to do. If you had night and then run the database, nothing comes up. So even though we've said criteria is night, we can't put it in speech marks because that brings back any book called night. What we need is a wildcard search, which is done with the 2 and asterisks, and that will search with anything that starts with night, but we want anything that ends with night. So if you put both sides on, I'll just show the first example. That will have anything which ends in night. If we make this a little bit bigger, okay. But then if we have, let's just take that out, and at the end, if we put, that's anywhere where it's got night anywhere inside it. And if we run, you can see we've got any book with the word night anywhere inside it. Okay, so the wording in the question can be important. And volume is more than 6,000. So let's come back to our database, volume, and make sure it's on the same line. And more than 6,000. If we put it on this line, it will search or, so it'll be this one and this search, which we want it to be the same. And let's just run. You can see that they're all above 6,000. And the last search does not include proton. Okay, you can see some protons are there. So if we do design view, and was it imprint? And you can type not, and then proton. If I click off, that automatically puts it in quote marks, and you can run, and you can see that those ones have disappeared. Okay, coming back to the design view, it also wants it to have a order, but we can do that later. But sorts the data in ascending order of binding, then descending order of volume. You can add that in the sort here, but you can also sort it in the report later. So we'll maybe leave it for now, and we can add it in the actual report. Okay. So that's searched it, and we need a new field called sales value, which is calculated at runtime, and it's same formatting, and we'll multiply the volume field by the ASP field. So to make a new field, we can come along to this one, and we can do it 2 different ways. So we can do it with the build. So if you forget how to type it in and want some help, you can right click and go to build, and let's put in our database. It's in our table, it's in books, and it wants to times the volume. So you just double click, and then you can do times, and then it wants it times by ASP, and double click. And you'll watch here, this is the expression. And look there, it says expression 1. And if I press run, it's made it here. But I've noticed it's not in the same format and currency. And if you look at the decimal points, it's not the same. So we need to change that somewhere as well. And obviously the title of that is expression 1. In design view, this first part of the field is the name of it. I think it was sales underscore, let's just double check, value with a capital. Okay, and then that's changed the title. And then next we'll change the format. So to do that is on design view. If you click on this field and up here in the property sheet, if that doesn't appear, you can right click and go to properties, and the format, we can put it into Euro. Okay, and if we press run, there we go, and that makes more sense for the question. Okay. And it's the same as what we used before. Okay, so I think that's answered the first part. Now, this section is the report. So even though it says make a report, we've made the query because that searches the database. So we can close this query down. Yes, we want to save the design. Create. And let's make a report wizard. And make sure you click on query. Put across everything. Again, just make sure, was that the correct order? Title, imprint, yes, it's the right order. And we've got the next one at the end. And next, do you want any grouping levels? Well, it said to not group it. So no, we do not. And then this is where we can sort it. So the first sort was by ascending order of binding. Okay. And then the second sort is if the binding is the same, then descending order of volume. Descending. Okay, next. And I'm sure it said tabular before. A tabular report. And we've got tabular there. And was it in portrait or landscape? Landscape. And there, look, adjust the field width so all fields fit on page. We definitely want it to do that. So then it automatically puts it on one page. And question 25, finish. Okay, let's have a look. So already I can see we just need to make sure things fit on. Let's just check the question. So it includes only the text high volume book sales as the title, displayed in a larger font size at the top of the page. And has your name, centre number, candidate number in the footer of the report. Okay. So we can go to view. Let's just go to the layout view. And we'll close the properties down. And just make sure I can see the first section is a little bit big. I can make that smaller. And join that up. And if we need to, you can hold down Control to move them across at the same time. Okay. And let's just double check the order because it seems that it's mixed it all up. So it wants title, imprint, update. So just make sure things like the title, move that a little bit wider, obviously has to be first. So I guess the easiest way to do that is you can move this across to there and make this side a bit smaller. And you've just got to really go through all of these. So we can move those both along. The imprint was next, so we can move that to there. Okay, and now we can sort the title out. Make that wider. Okay, and pub date was next. Let's move those across. Drag that over to there. I'll make this a bit further along. So So we can fit in this column, and we can make the title a little wider. What is next? Binding then volume. Yeah. And as well, I'll probably move these over then, because there's lots of space on this side. And I think some of the first two columns don't quite show. So if I hold down Shift, I can get both of these sections. And I'm guessing this is enough to fit everything on. Yeah, and just quickly scroll down. It's not quite, so we might have to move these across. But if you hold down Shift, oops. So this is just takes a bit of time, just making sure that does what it asks. So move those across, and the last two are already in the right order. So, and then make that wider. They all fit in now. And we can move this across, and they all fits in. And then it's just about maybe spreading these sections out a little bit. Where have they gone to? There we go. That doesn't quite fit in. So again, it's lots of moving things around. I see what happened. So that one needs to go there. Volume to there. And we can maybe move this a little bit that way and back across. And that looks a bit better. These ones, they don't quite fit in still. I can see what's happened there. Volume's just moved across a bit. And then we need to make this one wider. And sales value. Let's hopefully get this one on. There we go. So then if we go down, everything fits on and it's on one page. And the title needs to be high volume book sales. Make sure it's exactly the same, or else you might not get the mark. Okay, so check for any spelling errors. And you need your name in the footer of the report. Okay, so the footer, if we go to Home and Design View, report footer is here. And let's put a label in. And you can put your name, center number, and candidate number. And that should be along the bottom. Okay, and now print out 2, so print that out for your evidence. So when you print it, have a print preview and just make sure, zoom out and just double check that everything was there that you wanted and it's on one page. Okay, the next question says export the report created in the step previously in rich text format. So that would be like a Word document, and then save the exported file in your work area. And the evidence is a screenshot showing it in the documents and evidence of the file type. So even if maybe you didn't do everything right in the section above, if you've got a report or something there, you can still get this mark quite easily, even if the question above you didn't get it perfect. So to do that in your database, let me just close down. Actually, we need the report open. I'm just going to maybe go to report view. So this is what it looks like, making sure everything was there. And in external data, you've got import, where we imported the file earlier, and export. So you might, there's a few options: Excel, text file, XML, PDF, but on more is where it says rich text, and that would be a Word file. So if you press that, and if you just browse, make sure it's in the same folder, and it's a .rtf file, a rich text file. Okay, and that will save it. And I'm just going to check this folder and just refresh. And question 25 is here, and it's rich text format. So it might be an idea actually to rename that file, because it's high volume book sales. So maybe just to make sure, you could call that high volume book sales, because that's the name of the report. It makes sense to me. And then this can be your evidence. If you don't see that, you can right click and select what you see, and just make sure that's there, and you can do view and select maybe details, and then this is your evidence. There you go, and then just paste that in here, step 26, and then there's the evidence, high volume book sales. It's a rich text format file, and that type of file, if we open it, it just lets you edit it as well, like a Word document. There. Okay, next question 27. Using fields from both tables, produce a tabular report. And it selects the records where book genre is children or young adult, the rank is 400 or less, the binding is paperback. It shows only these fields and do not group the data. And when the report will order it in rank, so this section is a report, and we can focus on this section for the query. So even though it wants a report, if we select certain things, we need a query. So let's do this one. Select the records where. And we need to use these ones. So let's see. So we'll make a create query wizard, simple query, and we need both of them. And let's just make sure we'll do it in the same order. Title, author, binding, book genre, and rank. So they're in the other one. So go to the next table. Book genre, and where was rank? I missed that one. Rank, there it is. Okay, and we can reorder them later. So they're the ones we need. And we need detail. And it's a good idea as well just to call it the same question, question 27, and then we know it's there. All right, and then we can go to home, go to view, design view, and you can see here the different sections. So first one, book genre is children or young adult. So book genre is, and you can just type in children or young adult, press enter, and that automatically puts the quote marks in for me. And let's just check that's worked. Children, and there's a lot of them, and young adult. Again, I just made sure it's got the same capitals letters there as well, just in case. Okay, and there's still lots of results there. Let's go back to my design view, and it needs to be 400 or less. So the rank, you need the less than symbol, or you need equals, because it's 400 or less. So equals or less than 400. Enter. Okay, let's just try less than equals to 400. Yes, it was just the other way around. So less than or equals to 400. I've tried. And they're all less than 400, and there's less results now. And the final search was binding is paperback. So again, binding, you can put in paperback and run just to make sure it's there, and we've got 28 results now. Okay, let's look at the question, and we can sort it later in order of rank. Okay, so you could sort it here in order of rank. Is it ascending? But you can also do it later when we make the report. So we can run that. We know it's right. Well, it looks right, and we can close it down. And do you want to save it? Yes. Question 27. And it took a little bit of a while to appear here for some reason. It's here, 27. Create a report wizard. And we want everything from that query, because we've already chosen what we wanted. And how do you want to view your data? Do not group the data. So we can look at it that way. Makes sense. Yep, it's not grouped. Do you want any group as no? And then we can sort it by rank here. And it wanted a tabular report. This is where we can change it. And it needs to be portrait fitting on a single page. Portrait fits on one page. And includes only the text top ranking youth fiction. So we can call the report top ranking youth fiction. Make sure you spell it right, because it puts the title at the top here. And if you spell it wrong, you might not get a mark for that. Okay. Perfect. So the next step is just to check that it's in the same order. So again, it's moved things around again. It fits on one page, which is fine, but these need to be in the right order again. So it's a bit annoying, but we can just move these around. So we can go to layout view, and let's see. So it needs to have title, author, binding. So move these to the end. Let's make title. It's quite big, so we just move that along. And then author, we can move along, making sure, yeah, everything needs to fit in here. That fits in. Now the author doesn't fit in, so the third one is binding. So let's move that along, and that fits in. And then the last two, book genre and rank. Perfect, it's in the right order. And then the rank is there. We'll just move that off the side a little bit. Perfect. So top ranking youth fiction. In a larger font at the top of the page. Yes, that is true. Now it calculates the total number of books in this selection and puts it under the binding column. So to do this, we need to go to Home, get Design View, and if you click on here, Binding, and it says here Totals. If you click on the title one, Binding, and then Totals, Count Records, and it's put it underneath there. If you chose title, it would put it here, and that is equals count, and it's the count of this. So if I just preview that, at the bottom it says 28, and that has a label, number of books to the left of this value. So go back to Design View, let's add on a label. Number of books. Okay, and then just maybe make that so it's next to that number. Just make sure it looks fine. Number of books 28, and if you can maybe move that along a bit as well, just to make sure it's next to it. And center number, candidate number on the report. So make sure you can see that. You might want it at the very bottom. So we can go to design view, and you could maybe put it in a space, either in the header, might be a good idea, because it doesn't actually say where it needs to be on the report. So let's put it at the top. Unless includes only the text at the top, so we need to put it at the bottom. So maybe in the footer might be a better idea. So in the footer, you can even make it a bit bigger, and then put in a label. And you can put your name, candidate number, centre number. And if you need to, make that a bit bigger, so just they know it's your work as well. Let's go to view. There we go. I'll show your name at the bottom of the report. Yep, that looks fine. And then the evidence, save and print your report. Do a print preview, make sure again it's one page, and then print it. And then the next evidence was a screenshot of the formula used to calculate the number of books. So again, just go to your database, find maybe the layout view or design view, and you can take a screenshot of maybe this down here. So number of books and count. Okay, just in case, because you could just make a label with the number, and then that can go in evidence 10. Yep, and the final question is a little bit different. Recommend 2 changes that can be made to improve the efficiency and ease of use of your database. Justify your choices. For this question, it's not in your database. You just have to enter your answer in evidence 11 here. And looking at the question, you'll probably get 2 marks for 2 possible changes, and then a mark where you can justify each of those changes. So it's about how you could use the database and make sure you don't enter anything incorrectly, there's not duplication of any data, and just to make it easy to use. So what you could say is, in your form, you could have a button, so you could design view, you can do things like add buttons, which let you maybe go to the next record, go to the last record, and so on. So it's navigation, just to make it, and the reason is to make it easy for someone to add a new record, go to the next one, find certain records, and it would just make it a bit quicker. Something else you could do is in the form, you could maybe have, for example, in binding, you can only really do, let's just look at book table, paperback or hardback. You can maybe make it so you can only select those 2 options. So then you don't make a spelling mistake or add anything extra in. Other possible things is things like when you're entering the class code or the booking reference, you might set it up so you have an input mask or a validation rule, validation text that you can only enter certain things in. So in this table, obviously every class code starts with the letters, then numbers, then a letter. Same with the booking reference. So just make sure they don't enter the things in the wrong sort of format. Again, same with the drop-down menus. You might have them, so there's only certain types of publishers and imprints, so have a drop-down list where they can only select the right one, so nobody makes any errors when they're typing it in. Okay, and in total that section was 32 marks, and I hope this video helped with any of those sections. And again, in the exam, you obviously have to work quickly. There's lots to remember. There's lots of possible areas where you might forget something. So again, if you can use your problem solving skills, see if there's any area to get around. If something just doesn't work or you've forgotten something, just see what you can do, because some of these sections you'll still get marks for things like the headings and just having certain information there. So it's always worth keep going and making sure that you can do each section. If something doesn't quite work, obviously try and move on to the next one. Okay, so thank you for watching. Good luck.